Hey everybody, it's Dr. T. Let's talk about our kids. I realized as we're been having these conversations about coronavirus and corona quarantine and about coming out and trying to find a new normal that we haven't talked about how do we have these conversations with our kids. So you guys are going to want to go ahead now and like this video and share this video because we're going to go into a really good conversation about this today. And so first I want to encourage you, you can't have this conversation with your kids if you haven't really worked through some of this stuff yourself. So whatever you're feeling, whatever you've been dealing with, if you've hit the COVID wall, as I call it, I hit my wall yesterday where I just thought I can't do this one more day. I need to go to a restaurant and sit down and eat. God darn it, right? If you've hit the COVID wall, you got to deal with that. You got to face it. You got to talk through it. You got to work through it because you can't have these open and honest conversations with your kids. Our kids have been seeing this, and it depends on the age of your kids, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. But our kids have been seeing this. They've been watching the news. They know they're not in school. They know that their lives are different. And now what I think is really most important for kids is that summer is approaching. And summer is just a very high expectant time for kids. They really expect to have fun, whether you stay close to home or go far away. Kids know that summer is a time where we get to go and do things that we don't normally get to go and do. And so I think these conversations are going to become more imminent in your household if you haven't had these conversations already. And when I say kids, it doesn't matter whether your kids are 1 or whether your kids are 30. These conversations need to be had, and clearly they will be different based on the age. If you have little bitty people, say 0 to 3, they are going to experience this very differently because right now they just know mommy and daddy are here much more than they have been. So as we start to go to whatever the new normal looks like, they may have some kind of anxiety and withdrawal because when is the last time that your toddler has had you at home for 6-7 weeks on end? Even though you're working, you're still present and you're still available to them. So really beginning to have this conversation and beginning to set some schedule and some structure that creates and allows separation may be really important. Oh, the other thing about all kids, regardless of age, you've got to know your kid, right? Some kids are very anxious, and so you're going to be approaching it from that level. Some kids are very independent. You're going to be approaching it from that level. Some kids are very cerebral, and they've been thinking but not talking. So you're going to have to meet your child where they are and help them work through this in that kind of same way. So if you have kids that are kind of 4 to 6, 4 to 7, they usually are in school. And so they may have some sadness or some loss about their friends and not having been with them and not being able to be with them. Even a little boy told me today when I was seeing him, when he goes to the park, there's nobody there. And he's used to going to the park and seeing his friends. So beginning to have real conversations about, we will see your friends again. I'm not exactly sure when. I'm not exactly sure how. There may be fewer friends together rather than more friends. But we can have conversations with them at their level where they are. And so listen to what's important to them and have the conversation around something that's meaningful for that child at that age. As you get a little older, we're talking about 8 to 10 or 8 to 11. That's the beginning of kind of some concrete thinking. They want real answers, right? They don't have the ability yet to abstract and talk about things that may be in the future in the same way that your older adolescent. So they're going to want some real concrete answers, and that's going to be hard because we don't have those yet. So maybe taking one day at a time or 1 week at a time and making specific and concrete plans for that pre-operational kid who's kind of in the 7 to 10, 7 to 11 age range might be a good approach. Again, it's going to really vary quite differently between depending on how your child is and how your child functions. And then we get to kind of our early adolescence where they've got some new ability to think, and they usually think they know everything. And so they probably have it all figured out. And so maybe just being a sounding board, and also a reality-based sounding board, because young adolescents oftentimes are feeling their new cognitive power and their new cognitive skills, and they're not always as honed as we would like them to be. And then finally, we have the older adolescents, those who are in kind of high school age, and they have real worries and real concerns. They're a very social group, and maybe they've been staying in touch via FaceTime or WhatsApp or some other social media context, but the world is going to look different from them. They're wondering, what is school going to be like next year? And what about college visits? And what about graduation? And what about all the types of celebrations that you've told me to expect, and now you've been lying to me, right? So there may be some disappointment, there may be some hurt, there may be some anger, and they may direct it at you, and it has nothing to do with you. But helping them identify that so that they can release it and process it in an appropriate way, and then prepare to the greatest degree possible, because they are more advanced cognitively and they do have the capacity to think and plan and prepare. Let them help think about, what does their new normal look like? Share appropriate information with them and allow them to use that information to be a part of the decision-making the decision-making process for your family. So, we have got to start having real conversations with our kids about where we've been over the last 6 weeks. We don't have all the answers, but we still are going to be moving forward. And what does that look like for our family? And how can your child be a part of making that decision about what that looks like for your family? It's a real conversation that we all should be having. It's not one conversation. And so don't have your child think this is their only time to be able to have this conversation. It's going to be an ongoing conversation over the next few months. I hope that you will take the time to have it with your child. I forgot, but adult children, they just may need a sounding board, and they may be scared themselves, and they may have little children. And so there's multiple conversations wound up in that. But as adults and the older adults, the parents, we are going to need to help our older parent generation and our younger child generation. But I know you can do it. I have confidence in you. I know that you know your child, or you're going to get to know your child, and you're going to help them through this. So I hope this has been helpful. We'll have more conversations about how to help your children, not only with COVID-19, but just really the new normal that we're all going to be facing. And maybe it's exciting to your child to be able to help create that new normal. Give them a chance. Let them rise to the occasion in an age-appropriate manner, in a cognitively developmental appropriate manner. Work together as a family. Build that social cohesion and social relationship that hopefully you've been working on over the last 6 to 8 weeks. So I hope this information has been helpful. I know that we'll have more conversations. I hope that you'll like and share this video. You'll follow me on Instagram or Facebook, or now subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Dr. T.